Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to the studio. Let's pop over to YouTube and just make sure we're actually live. We're also going to double check that we have audio working. Doo-doo-doo. Because we don't need to do the entire video and not have audio. Perfect. We are good to go. All right, everybody. Welcome to week 3 of May. Sorry, get back to my right screen. There we go. Week 3 of May. I was watching me on live stream and it's delayed. So I'm like, why aren't my hands moving the way that they're supposed to? It's because that was in the past. I have so much, you guys, on my desk here because I brought all sorts of things to show you. We're going to talk about what the kids are learning in classes this week. It is our 3rd week of May. Everybody has class this week, and it is the last week of regular classes for everyone. For some of you, it's your last week because it's your last week, and you don't have classes after that. For some of you, it's your last week, and you have an open studio coming up next week. And we'll talk about that in each of the sections as well as in housekeeping. Also, I want to note, it's not in the notes here, but that it's because I made the notes last week, but that we are aware that there is weather headed our way tonight. Man, it has been a very active spring here in Kansas City. So we are aware that there is supposed to be weather. We plan to be open. We have no intention of not being here for classes. You just never know. I looked at it and the timing looks like it's pretty late in the evening. It's in the 7, 8 to midnight, starting at 7, but mostly later. So it could impact our classes. It could not. So we plan to be here. You guys use your best judgment in terms of your travel route and your comfort level and all of those things. We will stay weather aware at the studio. And if we have to shelter in an interior room, we will. Otherwise, and if it's not safe to drive home when classes are over, everyone is welcome to stay in the building. It's fine. We'll stay here as long as we need to. If it's like, oh, it's 9:15 and it's time to go, but it's not safe to drive, we'll just hang out here. It's fine. We're nobody's gonna kick you out. Okay. But definitely just use your best judgment, and we will be open here. And hopefully it's nothing. Hopefully it's a nice spring storm and no hail winds or tornadoes. That's what we're hoping for. All right. Here we go. Preschool fundamentals. So this is last week's activity. I posted some videos. If you didn't get to see them, they are on Instagram Reels. I think they're also on Facebook. Is it called a Reel on Facebook? I don't even know. Yeah, I think it is. But a short form video of the process of this, which is just so cool and so satisfying. So we read Sylvester and the Magic Pebble last week in class, and then we made our own magic pebbles. So these are rocks that have been put in the oven. They're like a river rocks. They're super smooth. They go in the oven, they get warmed up. And that way when you touch them with the crayon just oozes over the top and the wax melts around it, completely encasing it, except for maybe just that very bottom part. And we sprinkled it with glitter when we're done. So, and then it cools, right? And then you just have a wax encased rock. It's so cool. So we did this in the studio last week for all of our preschool fundamentals classes. We also worked on our pigeon sculptures. So I grabbed some pigeon sculptures because I showed you these last week, but they've been painted this week. Look at this. So we've got some color happening on our little pigeon. Bobble, bobble, bobble. His head wiggles. Let's see what else I can find. Here's one that's been painted all blue. Now we will continue to paint these, so these will be out again as a station in classes. So that we'll get some more layers of paint added on here. But they're doing such a good job on these fun little clay sculptures. One more. I think blue was the favorite color for this class. We had a lot of blues and pinks. But aren't those fun little pigeon sculptures? Again, those are made of air dry clay. So we'll finish those up this week, and they will get sent home along with everything else. So everything we make, all of our journals, all goes home this week because our preschool fundamentals classes, this is your very last class of the year. We will not see you guys for regular weekly classes until we come back in the fall. Some of you we won't see in preschool fundamental classes at all next year because you will be graduating, going to kindergarten, which is so exciting. Hopefully we still see you guys over the summer, and hopefully we see you in the fall. I do know that a lot of our young kiddos maybe take the fall semester off, or at least like September, October, because that transition into kindergarten can be tough. And if that's you, know that that's a-okay, and we will see you whenever art fits back into your schedule. I do want to mention what we're doing in class this week because we talked about what we did last week, but we didn't talk about what we're doing this week. So this week we're reading This Is Not My Hat by John Clausen. It's a great, funny story to end our year on. We're going to read that one, and then we're going to make hats. So it'll be a fun wrapping up of our school year. For our K third classes, let me rearrange here. We're working on these like metal sculptures. So we're using two different types of metal, a metal tooling foil, which is that copper and silver foil, and then that we can emboss, right? And then we're using a wire as well. So we've got two types of metal, aluminum wire, aluminum tooling foil, and then we've got a wood base. So our kids have their wood base. We have pre-drilled holes in them so the wire sticks down into it. But a lot of our classes did do some sanding on the outside because after we cut it, it was a little bit rough. So if you see pictures of them with sanding blocks, that's the skill that they learned before we started working with our blocks. So I wanted to show some of the different wire sculptures we have going on. So this one here has a lot of green on it. So if I flip it around, it kind of disappears, but isn't that fun? So this one is super representational. We can tell what it is a sculpture of. Here's another great example of a representational sculpture, right? Meant to be viewed in the round. It's very humanoid. Got a figure happening. Let's see. Love this one. Isn't that fun? So maybe a little bit less representational, a little more abstract. We did look at the art of Alexander Calder, so we had lots of abstract art. Oh, this one's a representation too. I think it's got a lot of green on it, so you may not see it, but it is also a human. Can you see the face? Or a person-ish figure, creature. So super fun. So these guys are going to finish up their sculptures this week. A lot of them are done, right? And when an artist is done, we say, you know, we ask questions and we offer suggestions, but ultimately, if they're done, they're done, and we respect that. So if they are done, we will have other things for them to do, whether it's a smaller scale version of this project, whether it's an extension of this project, something in the metals world. So we'll give them some stuff to do this week if they finished already. But everybody else should finish and they should take their sculptures home. Again, they will also take their journals home. So that way, if they haven't yet, I know some of the classes started clearing cubbies pretty early on in the month, just in case we had some absences or we forgot. So so if they haven't taken their journal home, they'll take that home. We'll take your sculptures home. And this will be our last regular class of the school year. We have open studios happening next week, and we're going to talk about that in our housekeeping. Okay. Let me check my, yep. All right, fourth and fifth. So let's talk through, whoops, my screen disappeared. There we go. Fourth and fifth is working on these flying creature sculptures. So we've got our beginnings of our sculpture. They are also using the two types of metal. They're using a tooling foil as well as a wire. Now the body of their sculpture is the wire, but to give it a little bit more structure on the inside for that cage, we put it around fiber. So we've got a kind of a fabric middle, which helps support the wire. That way that cage doesn't collapse as we start adding stuff to it. So I wanted to show some different examples. They had a lot of freedom on what the shape of their body was. So here's a great example of it, as well as the color of the aluminum wire. This one is gold and copper. And then I'm going to keep these together, but you can see we've got some different wings. It is a flying creature of some kind, and we've got some embossed wings. And they're different, right, on both sides. This will then be attached to this somehow. Problem solving is part of sculpture. So they'll figure that out. And then we'll continue to add more things and wire wrap other things onto our sculpture before adding a string so that way it can hang. Because these sculptures are meant to be mobiles. They're supposed to be hanging sculptures, not standing sculptures. And that's a great way to do things because then we don't have to worry about making legs, which is hard. I want to show another one. So this one has a very different shape. It's very more like a softball shape, very orb. But we've got some pink wire happening on this one for the cage of wire, and then very different wing shape that I want to show. It's very delicate and also kind of, she's already got it shaped too. So how cool are those? So again, somehow, I don't know their vision, this goes on here. Okay, so they'll figure that out. We'll wire wrap it to get it on. If it needs a little bit more stability, we can also do some hot glue or some E6000. But our goal is that it's done with wire but sometimes that can be kind of tricky. So we'll get that wire wrapped and we'll add on more wire details, more sculptural details. We also have some wooden beads that they can use to wire to thread on. Those are really great for like eyeballs. So we'll get that done and then finish those up this week. So hopefully they take all their sculptures home. That's the goal. If they don't, it's okay. They can either come in for makeup session, and those are all updated on the website. We talk a little bit about that in housekeeping, and then or they can finish it still in open studio. So our goal is to finish it this week because we know we're gonna have a lot of absences next week. But if they don't, we'll still have open studios the following week where we can get those wrapped up. Okay, because we definitely want to make sure everybody finishes their May projects of every month of any month. The month you're not going to finish and you're going to forget to come in and get it finished and it's just crazy anyway is going to be May. So we want to do everything we can to help you with that. All right, so for our 6th, 7th, and 8th, 12th, it is still Metals Month. You can see our kids out here on the patio in Liberty. They are also sanding their bases because they're using a wood block base. They're doing a metal sculpture. They can use tooling foil. They can use wire. They don't have to use both, whatever they want. But you can see we've got the beginnings of some really cool forms. Some of them we can maybe tell what they are, but some of them we maybe are still working on it. I'm going to see about this one. I can totally tell what this one is. It might be hard to show on video. 3D art is always tough. Can you tell what that is? It's got one little pincher, two little pinchers. So we're learning a lot of like wire wrapping, right? Techniques, structure, gravity, working in the round, because sculpture is one of those things that has to be viewed in the round. Maybe you could tell what that is. All right, so I'm going to put this back on the tray for safekeeping. We have a lot more sculptures back there, but I just grabbed one whole class's artwork, and I was like, these will work to show. For most of our 6th, 7th, and 8th, 12th kiddos, they will finish this week. I asked in a staff meeting if anybody had any concerns for this class for finishing, and they said most everybody will finish. If they don't, again, we've got open studios next week. If you're coming to open studios, you can finish it then. If you can't come to open studio because say you're traveling, right? Because schools are out, most of them after Friday, and you're heading on vacation, you're going to miss next week's open studio. And they didn't finish their project. We do have makeups available throughout the month of June. And there's a new link on the website there. You can coordinate that with us. It's not a fixed time, but we are here enough during the month of June with staff that we'll find a time that works with your schedule. Okay. All right, creative explorations. I do have photos. But a reminder, these are our stations for the month of May, and you can see all of our metal work. Let's see, do I put one picture or two? I can't remember. I put two. So these are some of our stations from Liberty. We've got the painting on the aluminum foil. I think last week I showed a picture of them drawing on aluminum foil. This time we had out the paints. And over here we're doing a still life. So if you can see, back here is got a metal like foil wrapped background, and then a whole bunch of metal reflective objects on the table, and then we are looking at them and drawing them. We're using charcoal to do that, and we're doing it kind of mini, and then there's like a gallery up here on the wall where they could put it up to show off their work. So it was really cool. That was one of our favorite stations for last week. This week will be our last class of May. So you guys are done after today. I know a lot of our classes have already started taking journals home and artwork home, but we will clear the cubbies and make sure that you get everything home. There are no open studios for you guys next week. It's just this class, and then we're done, and hopefully we see you over the summer. For our Drawing 101 class, this is an adorable picture. I didn't bring journals for 101. I did bring some artwork for 102, but 101 is outside, and it's in plain air. We worked with rulers, and we practiced drawing the buildings. This right here, sitting outside our front doors at both Liberty and Flatwoods, is the best one-point perspective lesson. Can you see all of the leading lines that follow up, and they disappear at the vanishing point, right? All of them. These are, I can't do it. Orthogonal lines. Okay, that's what it's called. Vertical, horizontal, and orthogonal. Orthogonal are the ones that disappear at the vanishing point. For 101, we're really just looking for them to see the fact that these lines that go away from us are not straight in our drawings. And they're straight like they're not curvy, but they're not straight like they're parallel to the edges of our paper. They're not squared off. They are at an angle. And so we're looking for that kind of awareness For most of our 101s, we aren't quite ready for vanishing points and all of that stuff. But we are looking for them to be able to see that it is moving at an angle, and then to practice using your ruler to get a nice straight line. So that's what we did outside. We also, I think one of our classes was rained out. We were inside. We worked from pictures, but it is nice to be able to go outside. And if you're wondering what they have on their eyes, the rulers, I don't have one, that we have are flexible rulers. And they're colorful and they're kind of translucent. So sometimes they're fun to look through. What are you gonna do? All right. Let's talk about, I gotta, hang on. I'm ahead of myself. 101, right? So this is last week's lesson. Let's talk about what they're doing this week. So in this week's lesson, hang on, where is it? This week's lesson, we're drawing feathers with oil pastels. So we're observing the natural world, and we'll still get outside if we can. So it's our last class of the year, regular class. We have open studios next week, so check out Housekeeping, get signed up for one of those. In our 102 classes, so our Advanced Realistic 102 classes are doing in plein air. We did get outside. We did a very similar lesson to the 101s with linear perspective. The difference is we're hoping that they actually are starting to understand where the vanishing point is and following the rules of linear perspective. For a lot of them, they're still at 101. By the time they get to 10, or not 101, but most of them are still at 1 point perspective. By the time they get to 103, we are expecting them to have a really great grasp of 1 point perspective and maybe a really basic one of 2 point. If they can get 2 point, that's great. But for some people, the switch doesn't quite flip at a 2 point perspective. But that's okay. That's okay. We just want them to understand the concept and how to use those rules. So we went outside and we did that. And I'm pointing to this picture, but this is illustrative. Realistic went outside and did linear perspective buildings and roads. And then this week they're going to draw rocks. So from observation, we'll work on a micro level and try to draw those as realistic as possible using colored pencils. For our 102 illustrative class, we're finishing up these trading cards. So I brought some examples of that. They also have the option of doing a book. I know Grace is at Liberty, which is where I am. Everybody chose trading cards. And so that's what I have to show you. So we've got these character cards. These are original characters designed by our artists. We will get these finished up this week. I love the fact that a lot of them have names on them or characteristics, right? So these will be finished up and then they will be laminated. Ooh, let's do this one. I'll show you 2 sets. How's that? There we go. Isn't that cool? All right, so we will get these guys all laminated and that'll be their final project for them to take home. If they need additional time, say they got through some cards but not all their cards and they really want to work on all of them, whether they missed a class or not, they can come to Open Studio, of course, next week and still work on those. If they come to Open Studio and they'd rather play with all the other stations and they still don't work on their trading cards, that's okay. They can come to a makeup class in June and you're going to check out the makeup section of the website for all of that information on how we do makeups and when makeups are. It's not a hard and fast rule. It's sometime in June and we'll do it morning, afternoon, or evening depending on availability. Okay. All right. For our 103 classes, we're working on our last drawing of the year. 103 Illustrative is doing shonen art, and they're looking at this Dragon Ball Z and Naruto kind of style of dynamic face-off between a villain and a hero, right? And we're drawing them in an action pose. So that's what we're doing in that class. They're almost done with theirs, and hopefully they can get them inked and done today or this week. And then my realistic class is drawing hyper-realistic food compositions. So we pulled some reference images. We've done an underpainting of alcoholic markers, and then we're going back over the top with colored pencils for all of the finishing touches. So hopefully they finish those this week, and it looks like everybody should finish this week. Again, if they don't, we got Open Studios still happening next week. They can come in and work during that time. If they come to Open Studios and they'd rather do all of the stations, that's okay. There's going to be some really fun stuff out next week, and that's a-okay. And then if they want to finish their drawing, they can either take it home and finish it, or they can come in for a makeup class in June. Okay. All right, let's go through some housekeeping stuff. This is our last week of regular classes. There are no regular classes next week. So your fundamentals classes and your creative explorations classes and your toddler classes, you guys are done. You only meet 3 times a month, so you're done for the year after this week. my drawing classes and my multimedia classes. You're a 4-time a month class, so we got to get you one more class in. Next week is an open studio on Tuesday or Thursday night. There are a bunch of times to choose from. That counts as your 4th class. If you miss open studio, but you finished all your lessons and your projects, then you don't need to make up open studio because we are not setting up those stations again. So if you sign up for a makeup in June for an open studio session, we're going to be like, what do you need to work on? And you're going to be like, nothing, we finished it all. And we're going to say, cool. See you next year. Okay. So the open studios don't have a makeup for them per se, unless you've got a lesson or a project that you need to do. Hopefully that makes sense. So last week of regular classes, this is what the open studio thing looks like, right? Oh, wait, there it is. Open studio. See? Okay. This is what it looks like. When you click the link, it's going to open a PDF document, and each one of these buttons is a registration link. So they're unique links. There are 12 of them. Pick your time, click the button. It'll open up a registration page that you know and love. It's going to be very familiar. Hopefully you're already logged in. It remembers you. It's $0. You hit register, click through a couple screens, and then that way we have it in our system on when you are coming. We do ask that you sign up for your open studio session. That helps me to know how many staff I need to have, right? It also helps me to know who's in my building, right? So if I need to pull a roster because of an emergency situation or contact information, like I have an accurate account of who's in our buildings and who's in our care. So do make sure you sign up for open studios so that we have that information. Even if you're like, we always come on Tuesday at 6. Of course, we're going to come on Tuesday at 6. That's fine. You can come on Tuesday at 6. But if you could just let me know by registering for that session, that would be amazing. Okay. So that's how that works. Cool. Questions about that, you let me know. For our fall classes, they begin August 1st at 9 a.m. So this is the end of our school year. No billing carries over. If you've signed up for summer, great. We'll see you in the summer. If you haven't signed up for summer, hopefully there's a few things that you can grab. We'll talk about in this last bullet point here. Otherwise, the fall enrollment will start August 1st at 9 a.m. and everybody has to re-enroll. So if you were in Drawing 102 Advanced Realistic this semester, it doesn't carry over to the fall. You have to re-enroll for your class, and that way you can tell us, like, I want to switch to multimedia, or we're ready to age up to 102, or whatever it is. You select your class and you enroll beginning August 1st. There is a t-shirt promo, so if you've ever wondered how people get those great t-shirts, it's an August 1st promo for anyone that signs up for the entire semester. You have to pay for the semester rate on August 1st, and you get your t-shirt. Okay. More information to come. Next, if you haven't yet signed up for summer, or maybe you did sign up, but you signed up for a camp in like late July or early August, and you're like, we could probably fit some things in June, but I just don't know yet. That's okay. We have select number of spots. I'm ordering supplies for June classes this week. And so I do have to make a determination. Like, we thought we were going to have 12. We only have 8 signed up. I'm going to go ahead and leave it to 10. So I've got 2 spots, that kind of thing. So we're going to send an email out on Sunday night that's like, here's what's open this week if you want to jump into any classes. If you would like those emails, I'm not sending them to everybody. If you would like those emails, there's a spot you can sign up for that. It's on the website. It's a pop-up right now. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up for them. I will not send them to you if you don't sign up for them, though, because I don't like to bug people. But if that is helpful to you, I will send it. Okay. All right. That's it. That's it. So I got. All right. You guys, we're almost done. Next week will be the last video. So have a wonderful week this week, and let me know if you need anything. Talk to you soon.